We are looking at this being Tuesday the 25th of May, and we thought we'd better get the full moon video out for tomorrow. So you will be seeing it sometime around shortly after lunch today. Before I go any farther and get into this reading, I wanted to say that I awoke to a text message asking for help with a releasing ceremony for today. We have the Wakinians, the thunder beings, coming throughout today. It's high humidity. It's a challenging night ahead. So this is a big announcement. It's already on Facebook under my page and the Moonstar page. Tonight, Tuesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. I am holding with Brian a special online releasing ceremony. That ceremony requires, if you want to participate, it's like Zoom, but we don't use Zoom because the charity won't pay for the Zoom fees and shouldn't have to. So we use Microsoft Teams, same thing. If you want to participate, please email me at moonstar@moonstarlodge.com. Brian will put the information, the email, in the information below the video. So look down. Email that address. I will send you the link for tonight at 7 o'clock. It is a one-off. It is tonight and tonight only. This was not pre-planned before I woke up. So we're going to take on anybody who wants to come. There is, of course, no cost for this, but you need to have your ceremonial tools, perhaps a crystal. If you don't own anything like that, don't worry about it. But we're going to go through some ceremony together to release with this very powerful eclipse and full moon in perigee. So the video is about the moon, and tonight is about the rituals of release. So get on that at the end of this video. Email me and you'll be in. All right. So let's talk about where we are on this wheel. We are halfway through this 6th moon cycle. Okay, with the full moon, you're halfway through a lunation. And as we talked about, the grandmother of this particular moon cycle, where did I put my pages? There they are. Sorry, if I talk to myself, I eventually figure myself out. So, yeah, the full moon is tomorrow, May 26th at 7:13 a.m. Okay? And the eclipse happens at exactly the same time. It is a 4th in a row perigee full moon. And short of getting out the crayons and marking things up, please know that a perigee full moon means in its orbit, this moon can be the closest to the Earth that's possible. So it affects everything in the body. It affects the tides. It affects air quality. It affects the amount of rain we're going to get tonight. All manner of things. If you're prone to swelling or you have, so that's edema, keep your feet elevated tonight. Do things pleasurably for yourself and take it easy. This is not the night to go jogging. This is the moon of storyteller. So she's the grandmother of the Heyoka, the joyful medicine, the humor, and she's about accumulating information in order to share parables, to teach with humor, and to teach without pointing fingers. So she teaches us how to be a student of life, and as well as a teacher to our own collectives, our own communities, our families. And she teaches us about speaking the truth. Truth can be quite relative, frankly. So it's really, really important that we honor our truth tonight. What is true for us? And I want to speak about the astrology. Now, I have a number of sources that I love in terms of astrology. This is why I'm shuffling so much paper here today. I'm shuffling paper because I wanted to print out and make points of what we're talking about. So, Dr. Michael Lennox speaks of this full moon eclipse. He sends a daily astro alert. And today, May 25th, he says the full moon eclipse is building and we are likely to feel it heavily today. If you've not already been grabbed by the big wave of energy, you will be. As today wanes and becomes tomorrow, the moon will leave Scorpio, drop into Sagittarius, and the full moon, that's also a total eclipse, will hit the wee hours of Wednesday. So as I mentioned, it's 7:13 a.m. for us. This will feature a fair amount of emotional tension as both the moon and the sun are agitated on their way to the energy that peaks tomorrow. We are feeling this already, and the vortex of energy is just amplifying with every day that's passed, and I have felt it certainly since like last Thursday. The Sun and Mars form a semi-square, which isn't a big deal in and of itself, but it does increase power struggles between people and competitive knee-jerk reactions. So watch for that. When you are aware of it, you stop it. On a purely physical level, this particular transit will increase our energetic output, but it also sets us up for accidents and making serious mistakes unless we are mindful about how you move through today. And I'm talking today. Combine that friction with some really deep trolling of emotional depths, and this could be quite a day. Every astrologer using solar astrological systems talked about moving very slowly. It's definitely not a day to let your impulsive energies run rampant. You're likely to trip literally and metaphorically on things and move at the pace of your heartbeat, which is not a good thing. True to the release potential of this dynamic full moon, we are already in a process of letting things go. The Scorpio moon will help us tap into our sense of purpose, and our spiritual connection will be easy to feel today. That said, two great eliminator angles with Mercury and Venus further emphasize the powerful sense of the deep need for emotional healing that's going to happen whether we feel the need or not, and the sense of release of unconscious material. The moon drops into a void around 5:19 p.m. today, and she'll stay there till about 20 to 11 tonight. So basically we're being kicked into a wormhole in earnest, and fasten your seatbelts if you haven't already done so. We have been in Saturn. It's the planet of karma and lessons, and it's retrograde Mercury is going into retrograde, so I'm going to get into that. So Saturn is there for the next 5 months in the sign of Aquarius, and this is a time of karmic rebalancing. What you do during this time can project you forward to many of your goals, but you will need to have the self-discipline to follow through. The lessons that come up, being karmic lessons, are difficult, so just know that the payoff will be worth it. The Mercury retrograde I was speaking of begins May 30th, so 5 days from now. Mercury retrogrades do have issues of miscommunication, technology issues, and delays. This one is square to Neptune, which adds another sense of illusion and fantasy into the mix. This might be make it hard for you to trust yourself and other people. This could also be a time where propaganda, conspiracy theories, or frauds are brought to the surface. Please remember that with every Mercury retrograde, you have a 10-day shadow period before the Mercury retrograde. So we're already feeling the shifting of things. It is official on the 30th, but we've been feeling it since the 20th. And just because it ends on June 30th, I believe, we will still feel it into about the 10th of July. So that's a long period. This lunar eclipse will heighten your emotions, as we've spoken of, and your intuition. And it might seem scary, but it's meant to help you navigate the water of these retrogrades. Now, this is a full blood moon for many people because it's going to be a bloody pinky red. Some communities call it the honey moon because the bees have begun to be active and things are sweetening up. Chani Nicholas, another very important astrologer, she says that it's time to contend with our personal dragons, face a shadow or two, make quantum leaps and quick switches, experience personal power surges, and make minor adjustments that lead to epiphanies. This is a good thing. It's a total lunar eclipse on the south node of the moon in Sagittarius. These eclipses are meant to be an energetic system reboot, wiping clean and releasing. Hence, this is why we're going to have this special event tonight. But the only way you can clean is to slow down. You gotta slow down. You have to power down the system before you can reboot it. So with the light of the moon obstructed by the eclipse, the physical body will feel it most. So these are good days to rest. Make sure you are well hydrated and do what your body is telling you to do. I know for us, for example, we had our second COVID shot on Friday, and I felt it more than I expected at the emotional level, not so much at the physical level, although there was a little bit of that. Think of the eclipse as an emptying out or an unclogging, and these eclipses are in clusters. We've had 4 Sag eclipses going back to June 2020 and carrying on till December of this year. This isn't a new game and it's far from over, but now we're in a series. We're into the current eclipse season. I think that I'm just trying to Chani gets into stuff like this moon being a dismantling of settler colonization. And so that's a global thing. And healing from horrors of war will take our lifetime and then some, with all the eclipse seasons that we can stand and every effort in every day in every way. But know that these tumultuous eclipses are important to rebuild the foundation that is horribly broken between cultures, between genders, about gender, about race, about all the things that colonization has destroyed. So we talked about Mercury retrograde. Best to use this week to slow down, way down. Parse, sort, sift, putter, and pause when you need to. Tonight we are going to take a journey into the Nagual. Everything that we do tonight is shamanic. So we go from beings of particle to beings of energy, where everything is completely, it is the field of all possibilities. And so those of you who attend tonight know that we're taking this very deeply, all right? So let me get to the cards. I cursed a lot when I pulled these cards, and I winced that Brian kept looking at me across the room. It's like Homer Simpson going, "Dole!" That's how I felt pulling cards, because first card I got, 9 of Swords. Complete feelings of shutdown and loss and defeat. Completely, that's what this time feels like. But know that that 9 represents the end of a cycle. And it is a bigger cycle than just this eclipse and this moon cycle. So when I saw that card, my immediate response was to wince, and then I saw the other cards pulling, and I went, oh yeah, go to the higher place. Take the higher road here, Kath. Because the card in the south... Well, no, let me go back to this. I pulled this card, and then later I decided to pull a clarifier card from the same deck, and I got the chain. So our thoughts are what are going to hold us prisoner. It's us. So we have to let go of that chain. So the next card I got from the major arcana was the Judgment card, but in the protection mode. Judgment by whom? Ourselves? Are we being judged by others? Are we being held to a calling to a higher place? Be careful of the judgment. What we have to do is exactly one of the things we're doing tonight, which is fire. Fire is going to, it is the great transmuter of energies. All energies. There's no such thing as bad energy. Energy is energy. It doesn't die, it just changes its form. And if you want to increase the vibration of an energy, you transmute it. So we're going to be doing a shamanic ceremony of transmutation tonight. So we're going to transmute these thoughts that seem to center around judgment. We're going to get rid of them. Now, what I read to you about this solar astrology talked about miscommunications and disharmony. So we have the Lover's card in reverse. So disharmony in the home. It can also, the Lover's card is a much more expanded card than that. It can talk about the things we love, the things we are connected to, our avocations. The disharmony here came with the clarifier, the House card. So these are definitely about things at home. And my spidey senses tell me that this is more about Mercury retrograde than it is about the eclipse to a certain degree. So being careful and being mindful. Being mindful not just about the things and the people that you love, but about yourself and where you're taking that. Old patterns die hard. So when I get to the north of the wheel, because this is about today, this reading is about the next 2 weeks, basically, until we get to the next new moon. And if you remember your moons, it's loves all things, or she who finds love in all things. A much softer, a much time. So this ride is basically a 2-week ride, but we're really focusing on today. And when I get to these cards, I was thinking I was pulling this card, and this card came out. So this is the Devil, and this is the 5 of Cups, but they were both in reverse, which is a very positive thing. This is about not allowing yourself to be nudged by temptations, old habits, addictions, this sort of thing. But the devil you know and the devil you don't know, there's that aspect of it too, as well as disappointments. So when they're in reverse, what that says is we're coming out of it. If we are mindful and if we use our transmutation, we're coming out of the things that have held us captive. And that's a perfect card. And the thing that got me was the clarifier card was bird. Now, in indigenous culture, the bird totems are the ones that fly closest to the creator, like eagle, the ones that have the greater clarity. They are messengers, the winged ones. The winged ones in our tradition become the star people. And that's really important. So this is an elevation. This is an elevation with angels and taking our thoughts to a higher place and not forgetting our connection to the creator, taking the sorrows. So I asked the ancestors for some clarity, and I got the West card for stillness. Absolutely incredibly important. We've got this card before 2 or 3 times. It really is important that we stay in stillness and that we honor the stillness. I was going to get the booklet to actually read that, and I've misplaced it in my mess here. No, I haven't. There it is. The West card in stillness. I'll get that and put that on Blogger, the expanded description of this. But, you know, we've got to take the moment and not force the issue. Stillness. Do not attempt to force something, because the clouds become rain, and while rain is healing, we must not force anything. We must stay within. When we stay within, we get the Great Spirit, Gaia, vision. We have the help of our ancestors, the 7 generations that have passed into spirit and the 7 generations that have yet to come. We have their help. We need to sit in the ritual space. This is a medicine wheel, an ancient set of traditions. And interesting, I've almost never pulled this card in all the years that I've had this deck, which is like 40. And I got the South card, the bird's transformation. So, this is a beautiful sweep from the ancestors, reminding us yet again, as they seem to have to do, that we need to stay in stillness. We need to use our vision to connect with the Great Spirit. We do ceremony to do that as well. Quiet ceremonies for the self, but ceremony in group. And then what we get is transformation. Kind of like the fire and the transmutation. The last cards I got here are the shaman cards and the astrology cards. So this is a period tonight of initiation. This is the crossing card from Dr. Alberto Valloldo, his recent deck. This is initiation. We are being initiated into something that we mustn't fear. And the biggest part of today, if you're having trauma, it's because you're fearing what's coming. Don't. What you need, meditation and stillness. This is the deep quiet card. Every one of these decks, we've gotten the same thing. And finally, the beloved card. Radical acceptance. Radical acceptance that this is happening whether we want it to or not. And I don't mean the eclipse. I mean the purging of the karma. the moving into the retrograde. It's going to happen, so we either accept it and roll with it, or we fight it like a 2-year-old having a tantrum. Which is your better expression of energy? You waste a lot of energy having a tantrum. So I went to the astrological cards. What's going to help us? Routine, the 6th house. Routine. So just, and I don't mean doing the dishes and mopping the floors. I'm talking about reinvesting in your spiritual routine. The Pisces card. I'm a Pisces sun and Pisces moon. I get this. And the Libra ascendant. And right now, my progressed moon is in Cancer, so I'm very much a homebody in my mind. Pisces is about I believe, and believe that we are moving into something better that you need not fear. What comes of this time, these epiphanies, these radical acceptances, the initiations with fire that are spoken of here and are spoken of here, is genius. Now, this is Uranus. So look in your personal astrological charts of where Uranus sits in your chart, and you will see where genius is. But we are getting the spiritual overarching aspect of Uranus in this time. We just have to speak to that. In indigenous culture, the planets all shapeshift into a human form, and we can call on the ancestor of Uranus to come to us in a dream or a meditation and speak to us about how we let go of the baggage and turn all that energy into genius. The epiphanies. And finally, the last card I pulled for today. Why not? The moon. She is our grandmother, and she is in one of the most incredibly intense but helpful ways that she could possibly be. So we need to go into a space of lovingness. And that's the final message of this reading. And what made me go duh when I started pulling cards, I went with relief when I got to the end of this. So please join us tonight. I pulled out my Daughters of the Moon cards and was going to use them today, but I think I will use them tonight. Spirit is telling me to be prepared to do some readings for people, just spontaneous messages. So I will be doing messages tonight. We will be doing ceremony to release, and then I will give you some ceremony ideas to do on your own. But you must go to that email at the bottom of this message. It will also be in the email message that many of you get if you've signed up to our MailChimp. And if you haven't, let us know and we'll put you on that. So, miigwech, nyawen, aho, until tonight.